first moment I realized my life was about to shift, it wasn't because of anything loud or dramatic. It was the silence, heavy, trembling, almost electric, that settled the moment my boss, Vanessa Cole, stepped in front of me that late Friday evening inside the records room of our office in Denver, Colorado. I had been reaching for a stack of reports when she appeared so suddenly that I nearly dropped everything. Her eyes were wide, glowing with a strange mixture of fear and determination, and her voice came out in the softest, trembling breath as she leaned closer to me, saying that her ex-husband was watching and she needed me to kiss her. The world around me spun, the fluorescent lights seemed too bright, and my heartbeat thundered as I whispered back, asking her if one kiss would be enough. That single question felt like the match that ignited something far bigger than either of us could see. If you're watching this and believe in kindness, second chances, and the way unexpected moments can change everything, then please hit like, comment, share, and subscribe right now. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The strange thing was, Vanessa wasn't just my boss. She was someone I admired quietly from a distance. Strong, elegant, resilient in ways most people didn't notice. She never flaunted her pain or her past. She walked like someone who rebuilt herself after storms no one else survived. I, on the other hand, was just a junior analyst named Marcus Reed, a 26-year-old guy trying to survive long nights, coffee that tasted like burnt regret, and a life that often felt far smaller than my dreams. But Vanessa? She was the kind of woman who entered a room and changed the air around her. And now she stood in front of me, asking me for something that felt like stepping into a fire I wasn't sure I'd walk out of. I didn't kiss her. Not immediately. Instead, I looked past her shoulder and saw a man in a tailored navy suit standing near the hallway entrance, arms crossed, jaw clenched, eyes locked onto her with unmistakable possessiveness. Even without knowing him, I could sense what he was. Someone who once loved her, someone who probably hurt her, someone who didn't know how to let go. Vanessa breathed out shakily, and I could feel how vulnerable she was in that moment, how much she hated asking for help. So I stepped closer, letting my presence become a shield between her and the man watching. I whispered that she didn't owe him a piece of her life anymore, not after everything she'd rebuilt. She closed her eyes for just a heartbeat, and when she opened them again, something raw and grateful shimmered there. Her hand briefly brushed my wrist. Accidentally or intentionally, I couldn't tell, and it sent a jolt through my chest I wasn't prepared for. Then she rose onto her toes and leaned in. It wasn't a dramatic Hollywood moment. It was gentle, soft, a whisper of connection that carried more truth than either of us had spoken. I felt her sigh against me, a release of tension she'd held far too long. And when she stepped back, her ex-husband's face had drained of color, his confidence shattered, his gaze dropping to the floor before he finally turned and walked away. But the real surprise wasn't his reaction. It was hers. Vanessa wasn't blushing or embarrassed. She wasn't pretending it didn't happen. Instead, she looked at me like she'd just discovered something she didn't expect, something she wasn't sure she deserved. And that was the moment everything changed. The following week, the entire office felt different. Vanessa was still professional, still poised, but there was a softness around her whenever she spoke to me. She asked how I was doing more often, lingered an extra second when handing me files, and smiled with this warmth that made me feel like I'd woken up in a life that finally fit me. I tried to ignore how my heart reacted every time she stood beside me, but ignoring something only makes it more obvious. One evening, after everyone else had left, I found her sitting alone in the conference room. She looked tired, not physically, but emotionally, like someone carrying a weight she couldn't put down. I sat beside her without saying anything, giving her the space to speak if she wanted to. She eventually told me that her ex-husband had spent years making her doubt her worth, years convincing her she wasn't enough unless she twisted herself to fit his expectations. The divorce didn't free her, it just gave her room to breathe. But breathing wasn't the same as healing. Hearing her say all that broke something in me. I understood the quiet pain of never feeling enough. I understood the weight of expectations crushing your chest. So I told her something honest, that she deserved gentleness, real care, and someone who saw her as she was, not as someone they wanted to control. A silence followed, both heavy and warm, and she slowly rested her head on my shoulder. That simple gesture meant more than the kiss we shared days earlier. As weeks passed, our connection deepened in ways neither of us tried to label. She cooked for the team during late-night projects and made sure I never skipped meals. I carried her laptop bag when she looked exhausted and made her laugh during moments she seemed close to tears. It didn't matter that she was older or that she was my boss. It didn't matter that our lives were different in 100 ways. What mattered was that we brought each other peace. But life doesn't gift peace without testing it. Her ex-husband returned, not to threaten, not to fight, but to apologize. And his apology shook her more than his anger ever did. Because suddenly she was forced to face a part of her past she'd tried to bury. She came to my apartment that night, eyes red, voice cracking as she admitted that his apology made her question whether she was making the right choices, whether she was healing too fast or feeling too deeply. I told her healing didn't need permission. And love, whatever form ours was taking, didn't require validation from someone who once broke her. She cried into my chest, not because she was weak, but because she finally felt safe enough to. The next morning, she walked into the office with a confidence I hadn't seen in her before. She wasn't running from her past anymore. She was walking toward her future, and she didn't hide the way she glanced at me with gratitude and tenderness woven into every look. Weeks turned into months. We became something real. Not rushed, not secret, just real. She stopped trembling when her ex-husband's name came up. I stopped doubting that someone as strong as her could care for someone like me. And together, we built something gentle in a world that often wasn't. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps more stories like this reach people who need them. Before we end, tell me in the comments, would you have helped her that day just like Marcus did? Because sometimes, all it takes is one moment of courage to change two lives forever.